Edward was just cheering himself that he would meet his son soon, and then he opened his eyes only to see himself and his son laying on the ground. But Edward was happy to see his son again, and that happiness was interrupted by that mechanical voice again. "Hello, host. Welcome to the second world with your son." Both Edward and Eden heard that voice, and their smile disappeared in an instant, and both father and son played dead. And this time, they were on the road, but still didn't move from the road. Sigh, you can't fool me. You want to play dead? Then so be it. I will not interrupt you guys. So let me explain this world to you, and what you have to do to go to next world. This world is based on an old era drama, where you are a well-reputed and famous teacher, and your son is a prodigy too. Both of you live in the countryside, even when you have the past to settle in the city, and you have enough savings with you so you didn't plan to move. In the neighborhood, no one knew about your family background, and about your son's mother, as he was already born when you brought him here. Then you settle down here and become a teacher in the school your son studies. And because your son was good at studies, he was exempted from fees, and as the time passed, he helped you in your experiments. And because both of you were busy performing another experiment, you delayed the marriage till this day. It was the government's new policy that the single parent must remarry to give their child a complete family. This is nonsense. It was because the government was facing revolts and many other countries wanted the soldiers from their country, so for population they implemented this strategy. Although some famous personalities were free from this notice, because if they were forced, then it would be a loss to their country. And you and the target's father were one of those exempted cases. And the time given for marriage registration was 1 month only, and today was the last day. But because you were busy, so you scheduled today's appointment, but the one you had arranged contact marriage ran away because she come to know that you can't give her time and won't have another child with her. So you thought to ignore this policy as the place you live is very remote, and no one would report you if you didn't marry in time, and you won't have to explain how you are exempted from this policy. But while going back, you and your son died of hunger and stroke. And since this is an old era, there were fewer vehicles, and in the name of vehicles, there were only tongas or mostly carts. Because of this, you didn't have a timely rescue and died. The one you have to take care of is a 4-year-old boy, Reuben Jonathan. He became disabled while saving his soon-to-be stepmother after all. Like you, his father too agreed to remarry for his son only. And the girl he chose was really good and compromised to not have her own child. But after that incident, Reuben's legs were completely bad, and it was confirmed that she had to take care of him for the rest of her life. At first, she was diligent, thinking that now she could have her own son. But no. Samuel Jonathan, his father refused and said to take care of him only. Then at the last moment, she backed out and ran away, God knows where. This runaway had no impact on ML at all. After all, being a general in the military, he was exempted from marrying. But this runaway left a great shadow on that 4-year-old boy, who was expecting a mother, and left the tag of being motherless. So when his fiancée ran away, he hired a nanny for his disabled son, and then lost contact for almost 6 years due to missions and revolts in neighboring countries. He just sent monetary help timely, but that nanny took over all the money and mistreated him, humiliated him, and tortured him. And it was too late when his father came to know about this truth. His son was already in depression and was beyond saving, which led to his twisted personality and became a psychopath. Then the situation was like, father was saving the world everywhere, and the son was destroying the world everywhere. Now your information. Edward Jones, 26 years old, white hair and blue eyes. Eden Jones, 7 years old, red hair and blue eyes. Samuel Jonathan, 25 years old, black hair and green eyes. Reuben Jonathan, 4 years old, black hair and green eyes. And you both won't have the memories of the original owner of your body, respectively. Now I have reincarnated you to the time when you died on the road due to hunger. And it was ML who noticed you guys lying on the ground when he came out of the marriage bureau, but it was too late. I wish you a successful life of 9 years in this world. Do. Soon after that, the mechanical disappeared. Then there was the sound of a horse's cart coming near them, but they still didn't move. And then someone wearing a military uniform came down and walked towards them at a uniform pace. Tap, tap, tap. Soon that officer put his fingers towards his and his son's nose to check their breathing, and found that their breathing was almost gone and won't be found if delayed any longer. So he just picked the child up and put him in the cart, and then carried the father. And just when the cart started moving, Edward opened his mouth and asked in a hoarse voice, "Comrade, do you have food?" Damn. From how many days this body owner was so hungry that the voice was almost inaudible. Even the soldiers thought that they must have suffered some grievance. Looking at their clothes and clean faces, they must have come from a decent family, but have suffered a great blow to become beggars. Life is really unpredictable. Soldier said while searching in his bag. Yes, wait a minute. Looks like these poor father and son were here for marriage but couldn't find any suitable partner. Sigh. And it is not this soldier's fault that he thought of them as poor, after all, seeing someone in unkept clothes, hadn't changed clothes for a week, covered in dust, had been lying on the ground for at least 2 hours. Sunken face, hadn't had a full meal for a long time due to experiment. Anyone with a sound mind would think that they had been malnourished and had suffered some unjust. That's when that soldier thought of something and started introducing himself. "Hello, I am Samuel Jonathan, and I was here for marriage. But my partner ran away, and I need a partner urgently. So, I was thinking, if you are interested..." Author's note. My story, my rules. So here in the 90s, same-sex marriage is allowed. Hearing him asking for marriage, both the Jones had the same thought. Are MLs so innocent? Asking for a marriage in the first meeting? Didn't he think about his son's condition? And seeing that both the beggars didn't reply and even stopped eating and were looking at him with some complicated expression, he thought that they were hesitating, so he continued. "You don't have to be pressured. I am a good citizen, and you can see I am a solider. You just need to take care of my son after I've gone for mission, and all my money will be under you, so you won't go hungry and be homeless." After hearing him again, the Jones be like, he really has no defense at all. No wonder he trusted that nanny and let her abuse his son. Sigh, poor ML. Well, it is not the ML's fault that he trusts everyone easily. It is just that this era is not like the modern era, where everyone can't even trust their own family members and fight now and then. And after this fast proposal, they had a flash marriage. ML gave the home address and was planning to leave. But Edward stopped him instead, and gave him home address with a note instead, and then left with a marriage certificate and Eden, leaving ML stunned and alone. That's when the ML knew that they were not poor and homeless, but were simply hungry. Sigh. My fault. Saw the time and realized, oh no, I am late for my mission. Now both of them were standing in front of XX School, looking at the school name board with a serious and sincere face. Serious and sincere? Edward. Go and get your new brother. Serious and sincere. Eden. You are the teacher in this world, you go. Serious and sincere. Edward. Then you are the student? So there you go. Serious and serious. Eden. No. Seriously serious. Edward. Go. Edward's tone was more like an order to his subordinates, and unfortunately, Eden was once his subordinate too. And once a teacher is always a teacher, cross out. Dad! Seriously defeated. Eden. Sigh. And then went to the classroom per the note. Once he was inside the class, he saw that the students were bullying the little villain because of his disability. How are you going to run now? He didn't even have a mother, and now his legs too, hehehe. Now his father will marry another mama for him, and then forgot about him, ha ha ha. Look, he can't even look up now. Can't stand. Legs. Disabled. And that's how this little villain became the big villain? Sigh. Then Eden came into the class and walked straight towards the little villain and carried him in his arms like a little cub. Eden, carrying the baby, said threateningly, "He is my little brother. If you dare to bully him again, I will beat you to death." Then he left with Reuben in his arms, leaving the kids stunned, and some even cried on the spot. That's when he heard someone patting his shoulder and asking, "This student, are you new?" And this question brought Eden, who was still standing at the door and listening to the kids, from his fantasy world. Eden, speechless over his own fantasy. And then Eden pushed Reuben's wheelchair out of the school with TC. After all, a 7 years old, hungry boy can't carry a 4 years old, leg-disabled boy properly. Edward was waiting for them, and after a quick intro, he explained about himself and his son, and about his father too. Reuben was shocked by the series of episodes happened in just one day. My stepmother ran away from the marriage. I am really hopeless. My father married. I don't know what kind of person she is. My father married a man. Although I don't oppose marrying a man, it is too sudden. My other dad actually has his own son. I guess he will not love me. My other dad is actually the mother of brother Eden, so I can call him mother too, but in private. My father left for his mission right after his marriage. I am nervous to be alone with them. He was happy but nervous too. After all, this new mom told him to change the house and school to where they live. By night, his nervousness was gone, and he was happy with them. And why won't he not be happy? He is literally taken care of by them. Leave the lazy mother. He is pampered even in his school, thanks to the prestige of Jones. He was taken care of by the neighbors too. After all, their kids are taught by the Jones. He was happy, every day, because no one pointed at him for his lame legs. This happened on the first night when he moved in completely with his luggage, which was nothing, just a few shirts, winter's pads, a few shorts, nothing else. He was hesitating whether to move in or not after all, even though he was not very welcomed here, at least he knew them. But if he moved in with his big daddy, that's what Edward told him to call, and little daddy to his own father, he would be in a completely new environment. And at last, he was proven wrong, as his big daddy had already dealt with those neighbors in school, after all, for a famous and prestigious teacher. One day is enough to warn, cross out, settle them completely. Then his happy life began. He then came to know that it was his big daddy that gave birth to his older brother, and then asked him to keep it a secret, even from his little daddy. That night, Edward, pushing, cross out, touching Reuben's wheelchair and walking towards his room. Baby, now that your little father and I are married, you should call me Big Daddy outside, and Mommy in private, or you can call Big Daddy in private too. You see, this older brother, actually I gave birth to him, but you can't say this to others. Remember, it is our secret. Actually, Edward was not worried that his secret would be exposed. After all, if it is exposed, then it is exposed. Who can do anything to him? But he said this only to make Reuben relax a little bit. After all, no one can accept a sudden family member when his own father is not there with him. Eden, touching, cross out, pushing Reuben's wheelchair with all his might. Reuben, shocked as someone shared any secret with him for the first time. Oh, to a 4-year-old child, no matter who gave birth to a child is called mom, so he thought that Edward is also a mom. Come on, to a 4-year-old boy, wearing a skirt is not a problem unless he knows that he is being tricked. And I guess there is no boy who hasn't experienced it, mostly the younger kid, as the older kids are already mature enough to pull this prank. To him, no matter if it is little daddy or big daddy, it is all daddy. That's how their relationship worked. Then, in school, he would go and come back with his older brother, who could easily push the wheelchair after a week of practice. As the time passed by, those three lived a harmonious life of their own. There was a time when Reuben even forgot that he had his own little daddy, because in this whole year he had shown his exceptionally developed brain. Someone, probably teachers of another school or parents unfamiliar to his family. How many people are there in your family? Reuben, habitual of only having his mom and brother in his family. 3, me, my daddy, and my brother. And those strangers would then feel sympathy for a few moments for not having mom, but they would then hear him say, Reuben, hesitating and showing a guilty smile. Actually, there is my little daddy too. Hey, 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 hey. Speechless. Even the strangers felt awkward over this. And they had an unbelievable look when they heard that the big daddy, who was remembered, was actually his stepfather, and the little daddy that was forgotten to the end was actually his biological father. Over the years, Reuben came over from his shadow of inferior complexity, and never let his lame legs be a barrier in his life. He had a fulfilling life every day, with his mom and elder brother, who protected him in every possible way. 1 year later, Edward, just standing far away as he couldn't find anything to sit. Reuben, 5 years old, playing crazily with his mom and brother and neighbors' kids. Eden, playing as well as taking care of Ben. Samuel, busy with training. 2 years later, Edward, just sitting lazily far away. Reuben, 6 years old, playing crazily with his mom and brother inside the house. Eden, playing as well as teaching Ben. Samuel, busy with training. 3 years later, Edward, living a lazy life. Reuben, 7 years old. With Eden's teaching, he became topper of the class as well as skipped 2 to 3 grades. Eden, teaching Ben properly with care. Samuel, busy with training. 4 years later, Edward, living a lazy life. Reuben, 8 years old, studying with determination. Eden, teaching Ben extra knowledge. Samuel, busy with training. 5 years later, Edward, living a lazy life. Reuben, 9 years old, studying with determination and motivation to work with his brother, Eden, teaching Ben. Samuel, busy with the wrap-up training schedule. 6 years later, Edward, living a lazy life. Reuben, 10 years old, started working with his brother but studied different field too. Eden, teaching Ben finance and business, along with science and mathematics. Samuel, left the camp after training and now looking at his empty house in the village, and then remembered the note left by his wife. 7 years later, Edward, living a lazy life. Reuben, 11 years old, started working with his brother and studied different field too. Eden, teaching Ben finance and business, along with science and mathematics. Samuel, went to the registrar office of his wife's address, but what welcomed him was unrecognizable handwriting, the same handwriting in the note left by Edward. How come he has such bad handwriting? Salk? Yes, Edward was a secret agent and didn't need to write something to remember, because of his sharp memory. So everyone thought that the agent Edward is such a perfect agent who doesn't want to leave written evidence, so he learned to memorize the content to save himself from trouble. But only his son knows him better and knows that his daddy is lazy, as well as his writing is not good too. 8 years later, Edward, living a lazy life, then suddenly remembered his nominal husband as he only has 1 year left. Hey, we need to look for your little dad too, right? Reuben, 12 years old, living a fulfilling life, not caring about his other father. Oh, then became busy with another problem given by Eden. Eden, busy teaching Ben and forget about this. Pause for a few seconds to remember that unfortunate dad's face, but couldn't remember, so ignored and resumed teaching Ben. If only you had worked on your handwriting, you wouldn't be asking this question. Samuel, looking for his son. 9 years later, Edward, found his little husband last month. Reuben, 13 years old, living a fulfilling life, not caring about his other father and preparing for college entrance exam early with the help of Eden. Eden finally saw the unfortunate man while packing his luggage, which was literally nothing, as well as writing a letter for Ben. Samuel finally found his son and wife, who ignored him like air, only to get the divorce papers. Tutescaris can only cry over his fate. Seeing his dad holding the divorce paper, he didn't feel anything as he knew that his mom and brother are travelers and are here only for him, and being a science student, he understood the facts the most. And knowing that he only had that 1 month left with his mother and brother, he stuck to them the most, but never asked anything more. As the time passed, Reuben grew and turned into a sunny boy of 23 years old, much better than his past gloomy self. 10 years later, after his mom and brother left, he didn't feel much for his dad, and left from that house too and took over his mom's place in the Jones Corps. Although he was lame, he was way better than any normal person and was just fulfilling what was written by his brother in the letter. From the letter, he knew some facts, like his mom really gave birth to his brother, his mom ran away from home because he doesn't want to take on the head's position, his mom's younger brother and sister were looking for him to take on the position so that they can relax. So he took on the position and remembered his brother's teaching, and never exploited the weak but never left the perpetrator.
In those 9 years when Samuel was away from home he missed his son can't say about his nominal husband and stepson. But he knew that now he can't get his son's admiration that he got before, as now he doesn't have that bond.